Hey guys, just recording a quick video going through some troubleshooting from a top level point of view for any of your e-commerce accounts. I've had questions on this in abundance recently from both in-house clients and also agencies that I'm consulting for. So I thought I would just do a quick video to kind of touch on this and look at the general troubleshooting process I take when I look at an account that's either seen, generally speaking, it'll be when you've seen a bit of a downturn in total revenue, but also you can use this to kind of also identify what may have caused an uptick in revenue and improvement in performance as well. But anyway, I'm just going to jump right into it. So obviously the revenue is what you're looking at, which, more often than not, it's going to be through Shopify, measuring that Shopify revenue and then looking at the data within it. So are we down period on period, year on year? Are we up? Let's say for the context of this conversation, we are looking down. The three initial levers that I will look at to measure what is going on within that account to try and see where we can make changes to then help improve performance are your AOV, your traffic, and your conversion rate. So individually, how do you isolate these and look at these individually to understand and measure where the changes are coming from and what can be done to improve performance? So for AOV, there's two general things you can look at, which is basically pricing and messaging. Messaging more specifically will be looking at your product segmentation. So what is it about your product messaging that is impacting AOV? So again, this will primarily be through socials. Again, through Google Ads, you can generally segment your campaigns, your shopping or PMAX campaigns by price point or by, margin, depending on who you are and what you're selling. But generally speaking, segmenting your Google campaigns by price point is the best way to do so, and then sticking more budget towards the higher ticket items to improve your AOV. They'll get more spend, get in front of more people, and be more likely to convert than some of the lower ticket items in a different campaign with a lower daily budget. In terms of the messaging, this is more tailored around your creative within Meta. So making sure that you're pushing products or encouraging people to buy products that have a higher AOV to help get that number up, but B, the messaging around that. How are you going about encouraging people to spend more? Because the thing is, the more expensive a product is, the longer the decision-making process for the consumer. And generally speaking, the less likely they are to buy. It'll take someone longer to spend $2,000 on a table than it would be for spending $60 on a t-shirt. That's just generally how it works. One's a much easier decision for a consumer. One will require a lot more research, insights, depth, and understanding before going to purchase that product and making sure it's the right one for you. So for example, when I talk about messaging to get up, you're going to push more expensive products. That's fine. You've got creative that'll do that. But what are you saying in the primary text and the creative that will enable you to do so? Are you increasing it through bundles? So putting lots of different products together that go hand in hand that can be used to increase an AOV, or you doing it with a more expensive product and just very, very tactically messaging at a very specific audience why they should buy that product. Pricing is a bit more simple. It is literally just the pricing of your product. So is the pricing of your product adjusting over time? Do you increase your costs year on year, bi-yearly, however often, to combat both inflation and the increasing costs from advertising within advertising platforms? Because obviously, as most business owners, marketers will understand, your CPCs and your CPMs do increase, generally speaking, year on year. Then obviously society or people, especially within that kind of middle class, are getting squeezed for more due to inflation. So consumers may have less money. It may cost you more to advertise. What are you doing with your pricing to adjust and optimize towards increasing that AOV to ensure better levels of revenue, efficiency, and profitability for your business? Other than AOV, you can also look at traffic. So when measuring traffic, there are a few things you can look at, which is basically your CPCs, retargeting, and ad spend. So traffic and ad spend we'll start with because it's the most simple one to explain. If you have spent less money, you will get less people on your website. That simple. So if you're spending less on ads, traffic goes down, you have less people coming through to the website. Alternatively, maybe you've increased your spend, you are seeing more traffic, but it's not necessarily converting, which is why we then also look at the conversion rate. But for the context of this, look at your ad spend and see how that compares year on year, period on period, whatever you're comparing to where you think your performance is down. Retargeting, what are you doing to get traffic to your site that's likely to buy? So again, obviously we don't encourage spending huge amounts of money on ads for retargeting. We measure the frequency for our retargeting campaigns. And again, Google retargets pretty aggressively as well. So we optimize budgets accordingly. We spend some money on it, but we obviously want to spend most of our spend on new customer acquisition for the businesses we work with. So for retargeting, EDMs, texts, how are you getting in front of them appropriately? And then with the small, retargeting budget as well, just making sure that's done tactically to ensure that obviously you're getting new traffic to site, but returning users are coming back and buying and increasing that lifetime value with, the systems and the processes you have in place to ensure that they're also coming back. And finally, CPCs. What are we doing to reduce our CPCs to ensure we are spending as efficiently as possible to get traffic to our website through ads? Now, CPC is an interesting one because at the end of the day, you can optimize towards CPCs, but it will impact other metrics. So you obviously need to, you can't just look at CPCs in isolation, because you might optimize towards driving cheaper traffic. But if those ads, ad sets, campaigns that are doing so aren't seeing good conversion rates, aren't seeing good AOV, and therefore aren't seeing good ROAS or even CPA, depending on what you're optimizing towards, because of that, it's not much getting cheaper traffic. But keep an eye on your CPCs, because a lot of the time you might look at an account, performance is poor and CPCs have risen. Why is that? Maybe you created a new campaign, you're running new ads, and they're just not hitting with the right audience. The messaging is unclear. You're doing it at a time when CPCs do rise. Maybe it's approaching Black Friday, and understanding the impact that has had on the account and driving traffic to your website. And then finally, it's conversion rate. Now, there are two things you can look at when measuring conversion rates on site to understand what can be done to improve this. One is traffic quality coming from, generally speaking, your ads. Number two, landing page experience. How is your website at converting those consumers through the design and the UI and the UX that you've got on site? Now, traffic quality it's somewhat difficult to kind of optimize towards. The only really thing you can do within platform for this is make sure your creatives are targeted accurately and acutely to the kind of people you want, with really clear and effective messaging. So make sure it's clear what you're advertising, the product's clear as day, there's a selling point or a unique selling point for your consumer to come through and buy from you, and making sure that whatever the wording is, the way you've worded it, it's on brand and aligns with the kinds of people you want buying from your business. That will help in terms of getting in front of the right people and improving the traffic quality, and then seeing conversions, and obviously an improved conversion rate. You can also like change things from a more media buying point of view, like, you know, the campaign type and what have you. But realistically, I don't think there's many marketers these days that are running traffic campaigns, unless it's for, you know, lead-based campaigns that are trying to improve their database. So realistically, I don't think that's going to be one that you would be able to kind of necessarily improve, because I don't imagine you're running a traffic campaign. If you were, definitely optimize towards purchases, because that'll definitely help overnight. You might see an increase, well, you will see an increase in CPMs and CPCs, but the quality of traffic you get and the output, or, you know, the level of revenue they provide for the business is definitely worthwhile paying extra, 2-3x what you would for a traffic campaign. And finally, landing page experience. And this is one you can look at through two lenses, primarily because with your landing page experience, even if a website is good, bad, average, however you want to look at it, or needs improvements in certain areas, you also need to ensure you're comparing it to the previous periods. Because, for example, a website might look really poor, but if it hasn't been changed compared to the time period you're measuring against, it may not necessarily be an explanation, because people were buying effectively from that same website historically. So why now wouldn't they? It doesn't really make sense. So work with, whether it's a web dev, whether you're doing it yourself, whether there's another agency, work with whoever's in charge of the website to understand the landing page experience. And as a result of that landing page experience, how you can improve performance and drive more conversions. So what changes have been made? Why did we make them? And then look at those time periods and make sure you're measuring accurate time periods to see how that impacted performance. Did conversion rates go up? Did conversion rates go down? What else have we changed? And that will definitely help to improve performance on that front when measuring the website. And overall, do look to make improvements to your website, regardless if the conversion rate is good. If you see real quick, easy wins that you can get on board, go ahead and do it. And that will obviously improve conversion rate. So just to summarize, revenue, how it's impacted, look at your AOV, your traffic and conversion rate. You can look at them straight away. And then for each of those relevant levers, look at the kind of drop downs or the follow-ups that come from those in order to understand what can be done to improve it. So this is essentially what's happening. Revenue's gone down. This is the what, these are the why. Understand why is important, because that will drive your next steps. And then from each of these, there are clearly very obvious next steps that you can implement into any account that you're running. And once you implement those, you will generally start to see adjustments in performance. And again, I do recommend maybe changing them one by one, because if you change everything simultaneously, if a few of these are impacted, it'll be hard to actually identify which lever did the biggest change if a few of them improve. And again, obviously, ideally, if all of them improve and things are going great, no need to complain. But also measuring them in isolation will give you a good idea as to what was the biggest factor that was impacting the account's performance before you made those changes to improve performance. But yeah, otherwise, that's all for today. Let me know if there's any questions. Thank you so much for watching.